Well, hello. Happy Tuesday, Black entrepreneurs and followers. How are you today? My name is Angela Hooper Minifield, and I am one of your co-founders for the Black Entrepreneurs Institute. And today it's the Ladies' Day.
Yay!
Friend and soror, she's representing us today. She wore some paraphernalia for us. But Dr. Nicole Rankin, say hello, Nicole.
Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm excited. It is a wonderful day here in Atlanta, Georgia, and we are on to give you some wonderful, wonderful tips on this wonderful Tuesday. So we're excited. So, what are we going to talk about today, Angela?
Well, today I was actually hosting a call on another platform that I do some teaching on, and I got asked a really great question. And the question was how I was navigating the virtual workplace for my business. And I said, you know what? If one person has this as a question, then a lot of people do. And so we know many of the people within our tribe are trying to navigate being an entrepreneur and working from home. So I thought today it would be awesome if we just spent a little time and talked about some of the things that is really working for us. We can even talk about some of the blunders we maybe have had and just whatever tips. So guys, begin, posting in comments. What questions do you have about working virtually as an entrepreneur? So Nicole, would you like to start?
Yeah. That is a great topic, especially in this time. As a business owner who provides services through training and seminars and speaking engagements, I was kind of like hit with when everything kind of shut down. In the beginning, I was okay. I had my calendar filled with all my speaking engagements, all my seminars. And then once COVID hit and they said, everything is canceled. I was like, wait a minute, what am I going to do? So, the great thing about entrepreneurship is that if you're in it to win it, you got to get creative and you got to keep moving.
Okay.
And I learned that really quick. And so, when I started thinking about, okay, one after one, my engagements got canceled. My speaking engagements got canceled. My seminars got canceled. My conferences got canceled. So I said, okay, what can I do? How can I use my gifts and still serve and still keep my business going? And we had to go online. So with the quickness, I started getting creative and thinking about how can I transition what I do online. So that was the first thought of what could I do? And I know that I am, for those that don't know me, I'm not a very tech person. So I was a little scared as well. Unlike yourself, I know my co-founder over there, she is Miss Techie. And so I had to kind of figure some things out. But the great thing about it is I was in a position to do that so I didn't have to stop business.
Okay.
And that was the greatest thing that I was able to make that transition. And even though, just even with the learning curve, but business is still going. So moved everything online, started creating digital products.
Mm.
When I was doing my seminars and my training sessions, there was a few training sessions that I had recorded in the past and I
Okay.
never used it. Right. I just had it in the archives. I recorded and I said, wait a minute, boom, I have trainings that I have recorded that I can now use and
Yeah.
create digital products around to sell and to be able to serve and create value with people. And that was it. So those things I had since 2017, they were in my archives. So I
Oh,
had to pull them out and get creative. And so that's one thing that I did. What about yourself? What are some of the things that you have done?
so for me, definitely like you, I had a percentage of my business that was already virtual, but I had to navigate because I had trainings canceled. There were some organizations, they didn't necessarily need to cancel, but it was probably a postponement, as in we just need a month to just regroup and work virtually and figure that out. So one of the things I made as an offering, and just doing it gratis, right? Because we care about our clients and what they're going through, is lend my expertise to the virtual world, right? A lot of people had never done free conference calls, Zoom, WebEx, the list goes on and on. So, I would, say, hey, jump on a call with me. Let me show you what I know. Let me create a video, using some of the computer recording software to record myself using different platforms. And so those were some of the things I did. And then the other thing that I thought about was, the productivity part, right? Because some people, it's not even about the virtualness of it. It's just about the fact that I have to try to be as professional, give that same level of service in an apartment or a house that maybe the quality of internet is subpar compared to that high speed stuff I get at the office, or I got hollering kids in the background and a dog barking and a spouse, fixing sandwiches in the kitchen while I'm doing a webinar.
Yeah.
Which happened to me yesterday, by the way, people. So these are all unique challenges.
Yeah.
And so just figuring out like how to navigate relationships during quarantine time. So, one of the things I said this morning, and I think you and I kind of talked about this a little bit from the story this morning on Good Morning America, was still get up and dress professionally.
Yes.
I can only speak for me, but I feel like I'm working when I look like I'm working. And when I'm in my sweats and my lounge wear, I just tend to lounge a little bit more, right?
Yes.
And
it's so easy to do because we're not in that environment that is causing us to, get dressed, have that professional look. We can still try to get away with it where we're dressing from the waist up. We're doing videos or we're doing conference calls. But there's something, like you said, that when you put in your mindset of productivity and actually getting up and taking a shower and putting on some clothes and getting that energy, it brings a different energy even to your webinars and your conferences. Mm-hmm. So especially if for a business owner, you said that you made a mention that you still want to give the same value and the still same quality as if you were in person, right? Mm-hmm. So that's something as business owners, for those that are making that transition online, that you want to be able to, the experience should be the same. Although it's different, the experience of you, the energy of the quality of service of you is still the same. So that means that you have to do whatever you need to do. If you need to pump yourself up with some music before you get online, to bring your energy up. If you need to take a shower, do just some jumping jacks to get that energy level high, to get it pumping, so people can feel you and they're engaged. That's how you're going to create that same engagement and same interaction through web, whatever platform you're using. So let's speak on that. What are some of the things that you do to kind of get yourself in that mindset?
Oh, okay. I love music. And so I'm not a quote unquote morning person, even though my day starts early. And so for me, it still has to start with that cup of coffee, right? I just have to decompress. I like to read my daily text, my scriptures, kind of do prayer, meditation. That routine for me hasn't changed, but I need something to get my energy pumping. So it can either be music. I have in my phone a playlist I call my anthems.
Yep.
And those are and most of them are women's songs, right? They're my girl anthems, like Let It See and different ones that inspiring, encouraging, uplifting music. But those are some of the things that I do. And I actually even do the same thing when I'm speaking in person. Like if I'm in the back waiting to get called out on the stage. So it's a routine that I've used before. But then it's also, okay, what is that prep I have to do even before the meeting? Because one of my meeting pet peeves anyway has always been to come to a meeting and read or be read to. And so it's even worse now because it feels like we're sitting in front of the computer so much with the web meetings and then the time you're in front of your computers working, that if I have to come to a meeting and then it's, Dr. Nicole is reading me her notes and I'm thinking, Dr. Nicole, couldn't you have sent those to me before the meeting?
Yeah.
So like that's one of my pet peeves, my meeting pet peeves. But let me ask you this, because we talked a little bit about the guy from Good Morning America today who had like a little slip, and if y'all hadn't seen the clip, it's not bad, but he basically was only dressed from the waist up, and let's just say the camera told America that he was only dressed from the waist up. He did have on clothes, but not professional clothes. So Nicole, have you had any blunders or any oops while you're working from home? Or with technology or somebody unexpectedly interrupting, anything like that happened?
Well, no, thank God. Thank God, no. I have not had that. The only challenges I had recently is the technology, because I was trying to do the most. And
Okay.
that's one thing that you have to understand, the technology that you're using, especially when you're transitioning it. And if you're like myself, you're not a very tech person, you need to figure stuff out before you get to your conference call. You have to figure these things out before you get facing your audience. So what I did was I was trying to stream on multiple platforms, and I didn't test it out. So I was doing one at a time, and it was great. So I guess I got to a point where I was like, yes, I got this. So let me add some more platforms. So I was trying to do Facebook on my personal page, on my business page, on another platform. And then it was a total disaster. And here I am live, and I'm like, I'm so sorry for technology. I'm so sorry for technology. So that was a learning experience for me. You need to get the kinks out before you go live, especially if you're going live, or if you have or if you're doing conferences or meetings. That's something that you need to do. Figure out your technology beforehand. Take the time to prepare. This is no different than if you were in a face front meeting. You want to be prepared. And with even now with a virtual community and virtual audience, now your preparation gives you the time to be clear and succinct. You don't want to be long and drawn out. We all been to those in-person meetings that you look at the person and be like, could you not have sent this in the email? Why is this taking forever, right? So when you're now going online and you may be doing meetings or conference, take the time to prepare so you can be clear, you can be succinct, and it doesn't take forever, because it doesn't have to take forever to give clear communication of what you're trying to relay to your team members, or even if you're going live, you want to prepare for that you have. Maybe usually when I go live, I have an outline. I do my preparation work. I do my studying. I do everything that I need to do to prepare of what I'm going to say, and then I prepare an outline so that when I'm when I do go live, I'm just hitting the points that I've already prepared for, and I'm not sitting there reading. It doesn't seem boring. I can then now bring my energy to my audience, as opposed to trying to focus on what I'm reading and then engaging my audience, or focus what I'm reading and then engaging my audience. So being prepared, preparation is the key.
Awesome. Okay, so as we get ready to come to a close, I was thinking, like, what if someone was to say, okay, Dr. Nicole, give me your top two tips for whether that's virtual meetings, working from home. You can pick whichever lane you want to, because I know we talked a little bit about both. What would you pick? And I'll do the same. And again, if you guys got questions, go ahead. I saw a couple of people just say hello and check in, so I thank you guys for that. But what would be your top two tips?
Great question. I would say I'll do one of each. I'll do one. So for my top tip for working from home, and I need to get better at this myself, is to create a schedule. Create a schedule. Because as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as leaders, we have the tendency to go, and we have the tendency to do. And there's always something to do, right? There's always work to be done. There's always something that you can think of to do. But if you don't plan
Mm-hmm.
and be strategic and intentional about your day, you'll end up working 24/7 while you're at home. I have the experience that sometimes I feel like I'm working harder at home than
Yeah.
I would had I gone into a school or organization to do my workshops and I have the time that I'm travel time. I'm like, I'm working harder now. So making that time to set a schedule to when you're going to do your meetings, set a schedule to when you're going to go live, set a schedule to when you're going to do your work, set a schedule when you're going to add in your exercise and things,
Yes.
set a schedule when you're going to eat.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Sometimes the day could get by and you don't figure like I haven't even eaten and it's already 2 o'clock. So being intentional about the time that you have while you're at home is important, especially as business owner, because we have the tendency to just go and to just do. So that would be my number one tip for staying
Working
at home.
from home.
And then the other one was,
Well, let me just add my working from home, and so then they'll have them together, and then we'll come back to the virtual meetings.
okay.
So I first, just let me say, love the tip that you just gave, because what I was thinking really fits perfectly with that. I was going to add that I think it's important when you work from home that you build in time for you. I think right now, the common thread that I have heard, and it doesn't matter who I'm talking with, if it's young people, older people, single people, married people, people with little kids, people without the supervisors, it doesn't matter. It's been across the board that there seems to be a consistent pattern of them lacking me time, as in just time that they're doing nothing. Like you mentioned, exercise, eating, quiet, being still.
Yeah.
Because so many people feel pressured, and there are some hidden pressures that are not so, obvious, right? The pressure of what happens if we don't get everything done, right? So am I next on the chop block, right? Will I be furloughed next? And so some of these things are the things that are just pushing us. I've had parents say, my kids want to talk, and I'm like, well, look, I'll get to you when I finish. And I'm like, no, that's not your messaging. Your messaging is, when mommy gets done, give me 20 minutes or whatever, give them a clear, because they need schedules too, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Then I can be with you. And so, because sometimes what children will do is this, right? Children want your attention. So they prefer your good, but they'll take your bad. And so if the only time they get you to break away from work is when you're yelling at them, guess what you'll find yourself doing more of? Yelling at your kids, because they are intentionally doing things to get your attention. So again, they'll take your good attention or your bad attention, but they want your attention. So I would just add that to piggyback onto the creative schedule, to create the schedule for the things that help you decompress and refresh.
Absolutely.
So now the virtual side, what would be that tip?
I would think for the virtual side is to do what you need to do to maintain your energy. That's one thing. When I like to look at different webinars and get tips, and I see different speakers that are out there, and sometimes the energy level is so low, and what you give is what people get. Yes. So I think doing what you need to do to keep the energy high, and sometimes you don't feel like it, and that's the reality. Sometimes we talked about this, I think yesterday, that sometimes we don't want to go live. Like we don't want to be, we don't want to come out there. We don't want to put the, we don't want to do it. And so if that's what you're feeling, then don't do it at that time. Make sure that you're in a position where your mind, you're present into what you're doing, and your mind is where you're ready to do what you're doing, so your energy level is high. That will be my number one tip for doing virtual anything, lives, meeting. Yeah. So yes.
No, I love that. That is so true. Yeah, I told Dr. Nicole yesterday. I said, well, no, I'm not live ready. I gotta fix it up.
And sometimes we don't be live ready. You gotta prepare.
No, the camera and me won't work together today. No.
That's right.
So yeah, I would add to that, because I think that's a great one. as a person who is highly task focused, as myself,
Mhm.
sometimes I'm so focused on what we have to do, what time the meeting starts and what time it ends, that I don't always allow for the social. And so, like in person, we tend to go to the meeting a little early and say, hey girl, how was your weekend? Or,
That's good.
to my sports friends, we talk about, did you see the game? Of course, we're not watching any games now. So maybe we can talk about, well, did you see The Last Dance Sunday with Michael Jordan? But in theory, when we meet with people in person, that's built into the meeting.
Yeah,
And then
that's good.
after meetings, there's the after meeting banter, right? It just always is. And so while a lot of people are enjoying the face-to-face versus not having any of that, they're still not getting the extra, the social. And so what I try to do for virtual meetings is always jump on early and let everybody know, hey, jump on early so we can catch up. So I'm encouraging them to do the same thing because, again, for those who need it to start on time and end on time, we get that as well. But I've also created the space and
That's
the
good.
room for the social. And then on the back end, I'll tell people, so we have, even though the meeting's over, if you guys want to stay in here and hang out for a few minutes, because sometimes I'm the host, right? So as the host, I allow that too. I said, so we have some extra time just to check in and have banter. You would be amazed, Nicole,
Yeah.
how many people stay
Yeah.
on that Zoom meeting. The people who didn't say a word the whole
That's
like,
good. That's good. That's a
so
good
yeah,
thing.
and that's not my nature to do, but
Yeah.
because being trained in behavioral assessments, I just know, just like I
People
need to
need
be
it.
alone,
Yeah.
there are people who
They
feel
need
like
it.
they're dying because
Yeah.
they're not getting the extra interaction.
Yeah.
So as
That's
a
good.
person who plans virtual meetings, I want to encourage all of you guys to build it into the agenda, the social time before the meeting and the social time after the meeting.
I like that. I'm usually after. I'm going to add after, because before I usually take the time to ask everybody about their day, especially if it's not a big meeting, how
Right.
everybody's doing. You're given that time, but that after, I like that. So now I'm going to incorporate that into my meetings. That's good ones. So we talked about a lot today. Creating a schedule, being prepared, maintaining your energy,
Yes.
making sure you schedule your you time while you're at home, and being intentional about that, creating time for that networking, that virtual networking,
Yes.
when we're doing virtual meetings, being able to stay social. So if you are doing virtual meeting as a business owner and transitioning to an online platform, use these tips. Make sure you incorporate them into your workload and thought process of how you're delivering and how you are maintaining your level of virtual presence on social media. So we hope that was helpful for you. I know I got a lot out of that,
I did
and some
too.
tips that I was going to start incorporating in my business. So I'm excited. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. So before we go, you will be hosting a webinar tomorrow, correct?
Yes, I am hosting a webinar tomorrow.
You're like, am I?
Yeah, am I? Yes, tomorrow. I want you to meet us here back on the Black Entrepreneurs page, because we have the link. If you have not registered, you need to register, because we won't be live. You need to register for this, and we'll share more about Black entrepreneurs and what we have to offer. And so you can learn more about what we're doing in our mission and how we plan to help business owners get to the next level. So meet us back here, register. The link should be in the comments.
Yeah, we'll put the link in the comments.
We'll put the link in the comments and
post it.
Make sure you'll be back and see me on tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Girl, look, I don't know.
Look, I have so many ways.
Let's get the calendar.
So, let's get, as we're being intentional,
it's on the calendar, that's for sure.
It's definitely on the calendar.
Correct. 12 o'clock Eastern.
12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Because remember,
our Zoom webinar.
Yes.
Jump on, get some tips, get some freebies, but also learn a little bit more about our boot camp. Yes. And I would further add that just a reminder, because some of you who are watching have already been on the webinar, that registration is closing. in a few days. So, you know, as the saying goes, study long, study wrong,
Study
right?
wrong.
So
Watch that train move by.
I heard that. Well, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching us today. It's always our pleasure and privilege. And because you guys come and visit us every day, you give me motivation to get camera ready, right? Because some days I don't feel like it. So we appreciate you. Leave us your comments, your questions. It's been our pleasure. And until tomorrow, stay safe. Be careful, right? A lot of things are opening up. Just make good decisions, right? Make good decisions. We care about you. We care about you. So have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon.
You guys have a good one. Take care.
Bye.